Caleb Williams finds a way to win yesterday, albeit against a bad team. What'd you see?
Getting through progressions so much better than he did early in the season. I think the longer he held the ball, he was better yesterday. That had been a major flaw. Now, they ran the ball well with motion, the tempo, a little bit of a Washington stuff that they've done with Jaden Daniels, but just getting through progressions, he's playing faster, he's seeing the field much cleaner, and they absolutely destroyed man coverage yesterday. But the past couple weeks, just the ability to see the field and get from 1 to 2 to 3 has skyrocketed.
What are you seeing so far, D. Wood, in this? Sometimes we judge these rookies so quickly, and it's worth noting, and we're going to get to him in a second, that the player chose after him, again, as was the case last year, is setting the world on fire.
Right.
What are we seeing from the number 1 pick?
You know what? It's just like sometimes we don't allow these guys to transition. Jaden comes out and setting the world on fire, and it's like going from college to pro. It takes time, but I think what Dan talks about is right. You could see, you could see on the film, the dude is 1, 2, making decisions and go. Early on in the season, he was holding on the ball, thinking it's USC, trying to make the big plays, and he got himself in trouble. I think he relied more on his playmakers to do the job for him.
Yeah, you know what? To me, it looked like he was playing at USC because that defense stinks. I could throw for 220 yards against that. Look, I'm going to say, the kid is getting better. We know he's going to get better. The guy's a generational talent.
Yeah.
So there's no denying they have weapons. But this defense is sorry. You talk about soft. And where's the Carolina chirpers that were on me? What did I tell you? We got a quarterback. Yeah, you got nothing, dude. This team stinks. And you know what? Remember that I picked the over?
Yes.
Why? Because I said I could throw for 220 against him. He went over 300 yards. So good for him. But my goodness, yeah, and he had all day back there. Yeah. That's a lot of Mississippis back there. I don't know if you're going to get that kind of pass protection when you play Detroit Rock City.
One more. Let's talk about Jaden Daniels.
Okay. Well, listen, I don't think we have to downplay what Caleb Williams was able to do because the Panthers are such a bad defense. That's kind of absurd. Right. If this was Caleb Williams' second, third, fourth year, then sure, okay? But this is, what was this? This is 5th game of his entire career. So, yeah, no, I think they are finally starting to understand how to develop a young rookie quarterback, right? And I actually said this a couple games ago, is this is his first game, not when he played at the beginning, because I don't know what the Chicago Bears were doing. Now they're going into each game with a legitimate game plan. I even wrote at the top of my notes, nice, simple game plan. Understood the opponent, right? Caleb Williams, 20 for 29, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 126 rating. I don't care how bad the defense is. That's still a great stat line. It was simple. It was smart. 30 carries for over 100 yards. That was good football. That was understanding who you're playing, right? It was just good to see that the Bears just they understood the assignment, right? They even took a punch, right? Because the Panthers were able to kind of come out the gate and get that touchdown, and the Bears and Caleb, for that matter, didn't panic, right? They didn't panic, which matters when you're talking about such a young team, especially with a quarterback who's obviously so early on in his career. And it's funny, I wrote that Dan Orlovsky said this because I also wrote down, went through his progression smoothly, never rushed, felt comfortable, looking for a better throw. He felt comfortable looking for a better throw and didn't panic at any moments. And if the better throw wasn't there for him, he checked it down. And if it was there for him, he took it. This was the other thing that I really liked too. And I also wrote he had plenty of time in the pocket. You would think that I watched this before, when these are just my notes from the game, honestly. He had plenty of time in the pocket, but also what I really liked was that when they were trying to push the ball down the field, when he was throwing a deep ball, he really only did it when there was minimal risk for it, right? He wasn't trying to force it down the field, and when he was throwing down the field, it was the guys who were truly wide open, or if they don't catch it, it's just going to go out of bounds, right? There was no real risk of interception. When before, it felt like he was trying to make a big play. And quite frankly, I don't even 100% blame Caleb for this. He's partially to blame, but it was also the play calling and the play design. And it was just kind of why are you putting your quarterback in a position to do this? So when they were actually throwing the ball more deep, it was more calculated, right? It was understood where the ball needed to go and the level of risk. Caleb was originally throwing balls that felt like they were 60-70% chance of really bad things happening. And again, in terms of deep balls. And whereas versus the Panthers, he's throwing the ball deep, and it's like there's like a 10% chance of something bad. I mean, it would have to be like he tips it, skyrockets in the air, and then it gives time for the defense to kind of make a play on it. And so that was just not the case. Again, that's smart, calculated, intentional football. It's controlled. So I honestly really like this. Like, I understand that. And again, I'm not opposed for trying to bring up some negatives, even in a positive analysis. I always try to do both positive and negative. So it's not. I just think it was brought in too strong by Rex Ryan. Like, it's understood that the Panthers aren't this great team, and so I get it. I do, and I usually, though, I say that about other teams, though, right? If it was Jordan Love, if it was the Detroit Lions, if it was Patrick Mahomes, right? If it was any of these like established teams, then I would say, okay, you had a great game, but it was against the Panthers. Like, relax, we're not going to have a block party now and a celebration. But when you're talking about a young rookie quarterback who's on his way to being developed, like, I don't think you have to point out how bad the defense is, because quite frankly, a bad NFL defense is worlds better than the best college defense, right? So any type of growth matters, right? It just does. So I don't see the need to undercut his success. Not to mention, and this is what I always point out, and this is what I pointed out in preseason games as well for various quarterbacks. What Caleb Williams was doing, outside of maybe time in the pocket, what he was doing, he wasn't taking advantage of bad defenses, right? It's not like these were blown coverages or, right, the way how he, it was little short little passes that they were then able to rip off for 70 yards. I know a couple times that happened to a degree, but that's, football in general. So it wasn't like he was just constantly taking advantage of just this awful defense. Like, he was comfortable. The things he was doing would have worked whether he was playing a great defense or not. Again, outside of maybe having as much time in the pocket, but let's not pretend that Caleb Williams is the only quarterback to ever have time in a pocket. So I think all in all, this was a big positive. If you watch that game and you're a Chicago Bears fan, you should feel comfortable. You should feel confident. You should feel like you're going in the right direction. And you don't have to constantly compare him to what Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders are doing. They're on different tracks with different teams, with different coaches, playing different teams, with different skill sets. So just because Jaden Daniels is having a lot of success does not mean that Caleb Williams will not. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Caleb Williams? 20 for 29, 304 yards, 2 touchdowns. Big win versus the Panthers. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.